Welcome to the Chiropractic and Legal Injury Podcast, recorded live at our events. We're here bringing you the expertise, insights, and tools you need to navigate the world of personal injury care and to uncover what you didn't know about car accidents. It's no accident you're listening today, so let's get started.
We are here at Venue 8600 for our holiday seminar, which absolutely jazzed about. The decorations look beautiful. We've got everybody here. People are checking in. And then we have the Chiropractic and Legal Injury Conference right around the corner, which is really what we're here to talk about and prep for. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I think this conference is going to be amazing, and we're doing something that's never been done before. We put together an elite and multidisciplinary panel where we're going to be having different kinds of specialists: neurology, neurosurgery, neuroradiology, pain management physicians, chiropractors on the panel, and we're going to be working through real-life cases and bringing in advanced topics on injuries that are typically seen in motor vehicle accident patients, as well as some of the more technical injuries that other providers might miss, and that's where the specialists come in. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. It's
going to be one of a kind, and really taking those cases from intake to settlement and showing how all of the pieces fit together. It's just going to be a phenomenal thing, and really excited to see what happens there.
Yes, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback and a lot of doctors looking forward to this convention, so I'm very excited.
That's awesome. So I have some more questions today, and I'm really excited to find out these answers. Some of them are from some chiropractors, so we can hear what they have to say. So the first one, we're going to jump right in and say, what's the key to seamless collaboration between chiropractors, attorney, and medical providers?
Well, the key is communication. So each one of us has something to offer on a case. Obviously, the chiropractor, their job is to identify injuries, diagnose, refer out for medical imaging studies, refer out to specialists. The patients have to do their part in being honest with their physician, showing up to their medical appointments, keeping the attorneys well informed, and the attorneys have the job of acting like conductor, making sure he's keeping track of all the progressions of the case, not only the treatment, but you have to look at the costs, the available insurance coverage, liability, what type of insurance policies are we working with, what type of treatment does the patient need. So there's a lot of management that goes on when you're the attorney of the case, and you have to communicate. So the three of us all together, the physician, the attorney, and the patient, we have to talk to each other, and we have to be on top of everything that's going on the file.
Yeah, that communication is absolutely key. Coming from the chiropractic office, your office is just so amazing at keeping us in the loop and answering any questions that we have and being part of the case. And that communication is so amazing. It's so important as well.
Oh, thank you very much. We spend a lot of time training, especially my staff, to always ask the right questions, ask the follow-up questions, and we want to make sure that we're the easiest law firm to work with for both the chiropractors and our clients.
I can attest to that. You were the easiest firm to work with. So, all right, next question we have is, can you share a memorable case that demonstrates the importance of collaboration in accident recovery, kind of as we're talking about collaboration?
Sure, absolutely. I know exactly the case that comes to mind. So we had an older gentleman that was in a motor vehicle accident, and he had the seatbelt going across his chest, and he presented to the emergency room following the accident with chest pains. And obviously they did the heart attack screening because they thought the older gentleman was having a heart attack.
Oh, gosh.
And all the tests came back clear. They did a CT scan of his chest, came back clear. And so we went and did some conservative treatment with the chiropractor and whatnot, and all along was complaining of ongoing chest pain. Yeah. And so they assumed it was contusions, which was bruising from the seatbelt that would heal on its own. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it did not. And so I had to have a conversation with the chiropractor about possibly referring out to a specialist to take a more in-depth look at what could be causing the pains in my client's chest. And so they ordered an MRI, and lo and behold, I get a phone call, and this is funny. The phone call came as my wife was wedding dress shopping, and I was with her. And it was one of those moments where the bat phone was ringing, and I had to make a decision. Do I put work on the side and be a good future husband, or do I answer the bat phone and do what I do? So I made the decision to do both at the same time. So I went and hid behind the plus-size wedding gowns and told my wife I was looking for other dresses and took the call. And sure enough, the MRI results came back. It was the doctor who ordered the MRI. He calls me and he says, we found hairline fractures all across this gentleman's sternum. Oh. And it turns out that the condition was so severe that he needed to have open chest surgery and actually have a cage put into his chest to hold it together because it was starting to fall apart. His chest was literally falling apart.
Oh my
and
gosh.
so that was an excellent story where the collaboration between the chiropractic office, my office, and the specialist possibly saved this guy's life, because if his sternum collapsed, that would have created all kinds of very serious, potentially fatal injuries.
Wow. So back to your wife. Does she know this story, or do we need to not have her hear this podcast?
Absolutely not.
Keep it under wraps. Okay.
She wouldn't be surprised that I did that, but yeah,
Probably not.
that's one of those you keep to yourself.
Yes. Keep it on the down low. All right. Into the next question. Is it a myth that only severe accidents require legal representation?
No, that is a terrible myth, because a lot of cases you don't know whether or not they're serious or not at the early stages of a case.
Yeah.
So most of my files actually come from chiropractors, and when patients present to chiropractors, they think, they just have basic whiplash, which is muscle pulls, muscle strains, and more often than not, those cases turn into very serious cases where, through further testing and evaluations, it turns out the whiplash injuries are not only the muscle strains and muscle pulls, but also disc herniations and disc bulges, and the patients are now permanently injured. And that triggers a whole analysis of future medical care, future disabilities, the aggressive degeneration of this condition now.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, is when you're in a motor vehicle accident, you are now a person with pre-existing conditions. So if you're in further motor vehicle accidents, or you're applying for different health insurance benefits, all of this information is very relevant. So the better the doctor that you work with, and the better the lawyer helping to conduct the orchestra of a case, so to speak, you have much better documentation, much better patient outcomes. And that's our goal at the Lazzara Law Firm. We're not a firm dedicated to volume. We don't want to be the biggest law firm out there. I don't want to be on billboards. Nobody wants to see my ugly mug on the side of a bus. We're all about quality work. So when I sign a case, my goal is to work it up and present the best legal representation possible, regardless of the size of the case.
Yeah.
So I've had cases where I fought tooth and nail for a really, really small settlement because the case was worth very, very little. And I fought tooth and nail, same strategies, for seven-figure settlements. So the work that we do is completely not contingent on the value of the case, but rather we have a job to do. We're going to do it all out, whether it's a big file or not.
Yeah, because everybody deserves that.
That's right. That's exactly right. People come to us, they call us because they need help. They need guidance, and they need their hand held. And I don't think it's appropriate or ethical to not give each client a 100% effort. So we strive to do that on every single case in our practice. I have a very well-trained staff. We put a lot of time and effort into basically creating an elite support team, and that's what our clients can expect when they work with us.
Yeah, that's so great to know all of that information. I feel like I didn't even know a lot of that, and I drive every day, so it's definitely something that you can keep in your back pocket. And I also bet all of the adrenaline that you feel when you first get into an accident makes you often think like, I'm fine, I don't have any injuries. So going and getting checked up immediately to make sure that you're good.
Yeah, and funny you mention that, because that's where a lot of mistakes are made by people who aren't represented by attorneys. So right after an accident, like you said, the adrenaline is pumping.
Yeah.
So people don't realize that they're hurt, and that adrenaline is pumping for hours, if not a day or two. And so when the adrenaline starts settling down, that's when they really start to feel the inflammation in their neck, and that's when the injuries really start to appear. But unfortunately, at that point in time, they may have told the police officer that they weren't injured. They may have spoken to the insurance company, did a recorded statement, for example, without an attorney present, and said things that would be very harmful to their case.
Yeah.
For example, I'm not injured, or I'm fine, or it's not that bad. And it turns out, as the weeks progress, the inflammation gets worse and worse, and then through further investigation, sure enough, they have disc injuries or disc herniations, and they require months and extensive medical care. But if they didn't have an attorney helping them at the early stages of the case, clients can say and do things that would be extremely harmful to the case. And one of the trends that's happening right now is the insurance companies are being extremely aggressive, contacting the victims of these accidents right after the accident, trying to push settlements. So they won't even look at medical documentation. They'll say, we want to offer you X amount of dollars in your pocket, and we'll pay for 5 sessions at a chiropractor. Take it, sign here. They're doing that because they don't want the people to call an attorney, because it turns out that they won't know how serious they are injured until some time passes, and so they want to get in there and settle the case for pennies on the dollar. And it's an awful trend. I'll tell you a quick war story on a situation like that. A 17-year-old girl who was in an auto accident, and before contacting my office, one of the big insurance companies offered her $250, and her father said, absolutely not, that's ridiculous, we're going to hire an attorney.
Go Dad.
By the time I was done with that case, $250 turned into $350,000.
Oh my gosh.
And we were able to fully fund this girl's college education and graduate school with the settlement that I was able to obtain for her.
Wow, definitely points for Dad.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, I got another one. How do patients accidentally hurt their case? Actually, you kind of just said that without even realizing it.
Yes. So talk too much, say the wrong things. They'll also post things on social media.
I've seen that.
That is not smart. So, to be facetious, you can't be in an auto accident, getting medical treatment, claim you're suffering, claim you're having all these injuries, and there are videos on Facebook of you doing one-armed cartwheels down Camelback Mountain. You can't do it. So they have to stay off social media, but most people don't even think about that. That's why it's so important to do a consultation with an attorney.
Yeah. No Hawaii for you guys. Make sure you turn off social media. Do personal injury cases always go to court, or is there a more common resolution?
Actually, very, very few cases ever see the inside of a courtroom. When you work up a case correctly, like we do at the Lazzara Law Firm, we prep the cases from day one as if they're going to go to litigation. And by doing it that advanced, at that elite level, most cases do not go to litigation. So even when we file a lawsuit, those cases almost always resolve without having to see the inside of a courtroom. So I'll give you my law firm statistic. We've had almost 2,400 personal injury cases. Only 2 have seen the inside of a courtroom.
Wow.
So we're either able to do it at mediation, through negotiations or arbitrations, but we get the job done. So very, like less than 1 in 1,000 cases that we handle are going to see the inside of a courtroom. So when you build the cases correctly, the other side's going to back down at some point. So you have to have the right doctors, the right documentation, and you need an attorney at the helm that knows how to steer the ship and make sure the case is handled properly, so that when you go toe-to-toe with a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate like an insurance company, you can fight the fight and really get in there and represent your clients in an effective way.
And I know that's one of the big reasons that you guys do these seminars and the conferences, is to make sure that the cases are handled properly, that the documentation is being done properly, and that all of those pieces are really fitting together so that it doesn't have to go to litigation.
That's absolutely right. Obviously, the better the doctors work in the cases, the better the patient outcomes. And that's what it's all about. Forget about settlements, forget about money. These are human beings who are seriously injured that need medical help, and they should get the best medical care that is available. So the physicians who attend these conferences are all elevating their game. They're all learning new, advanced, state-of-the-art tips on how to properly treat their patients. They get to learn what else is out there that's available. For example, neurological services, or if somebody has a concussion, getting psychological therapies, or treatment for PTSD or driving anxiety. That's another injury, actually, that is so often missed. People being in an accident is a traumatic event, and people have nightmares, people get anxious behind the wheel. That's an injury. That is a psychological injury, and if they're not telling their doctors that they're having these issues, it goes undiagnosed, it goes untreated, and as a result, I can't get full value for the case because there's no medical support, no documentation to prove that this person sustained psychological injuries. So by attending these conferences, these physicians are hearing from the specialists, the trauma psychologists, the radiologists, the neurologists. They're learning the advanced treatments that are out there, diagnosis techniques, etc. And so it really gives us an opportunity, a wonderful opportunity, to set up a collaborative environment for the chiropractic profession and all the multidiscipline physicians that are out there. So I've seen personally such an improvement on the case outcomes when all of the doctors are working together, communicating, and doing excellent documentation.
Yeah. And the psychology part of it, most people don't think of going to see somebody for that. They would just get in their car and be afraid every single time they drive, and teaching them that it is a part of the case, and that they can get help for that is huge.
Yeah, it was actually eye-opening for me when I did a survey at a couple of my conventions where I asked, how many of you screen for PTSD, driving anxiety? A lot of hands went up because they asked the question maybe once or twice.
Okay.
And then I asked, well, how many of you refer them out to trauma counselors or for a further workup?
Yeah.
And it was less than 10%.
Wow.
So it was revealed that this is one of the most underdiagnosed injuries following a motor vehicle accident. So when that light bulb went off for me, I immediately brought in a trauma psychologist to come in and do a presentation on the psychological impact that these traumatic events have on children, adults, senior citizens, and what are some of the treatments that are out there to help them get through some of those psychological issues following an auto accident.
It's so amazing. These events are they're one of a kind. They're so exciting.
Thank you.
I know that you have to go kick us off for this event here.
Yes.
So we are going to close it out, but I want to say thank you so much for starting out and being on here and telling us all of these great stories and this great information, and for putting these on just in general.
And I have to thank you as well, because you did an amazing job marketing this, putting it all together, and we couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much for everything you do.
My pleasure. Thanks.
You got it.
From all of us at the Lazzara Law Firm and the Chiropractic and Legal Injury Conference, thank you for listening. We hope you never need us, but if you or someone you love does, know they'll have a team dedicated to helping them rebuild, recover, and reconnect with what matters most, their loved ones and the life they deserve. This is the Chiropractic and Legal Injury Podcast, where knowledge is power and collaboration transforms care. If today's episode opened your eyes, share this podcast with your network and help spread the word about the realities of personal injury care. Follow us on social media to keep learning and connecting with this incredible community.